Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here, Brother Brand Ambassador. And did you catch this week's show already? Last Tuesday. That was only 2 days ago. Emily was on and made the cutest tray with some embroidery using the Artspira app. If you missed it, you can go back and watch it anytime on Brother Sewing YouTube and Facebook page, which is where we are today. So I've been busy draping. If you saw yesterday, I've been piecing together this great garment. But speaking of fun garments and free projects, today we have Joanne Banko, and she is going to show off what's the free design of the month. We love that. All right, so say hi, say where you're from. We are streaming live and we can see all your comments. So Joanne, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Angela?
I'm doing great. So it is summer here today. Finally, it's nice
not,
out.
It's not here. I got a wrap and a sweater on today, but it's coming next week here, I think.
It's coming your way. You're just about 5 hours that way from me. I'll send you the sunshine.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, you know what? The sun always shines in the sewing space. So
that hey, is everybody. So true. And everybody's rolling in saying hi. And how exciting. The free design of the month, which Brother does all the time, but you are back to show it. And everybody loves that because they can ask questions and things like that. So very exciting.
I am so happy to be back with you and everybody here because I've missed you, but we're getting back in a groove now here. And I think we're going to be doing this regularly. So the free design of the month is really, I think, one of the most special gifts that Brother gives you every single month. It's always a great design and it's always a project linked with it. That's my task, to match the design with a project, and hopefully you learn some new techniques, some new lessons. But, you know, it's really great to be able to do this live show in combination with it because there's always more things. But, you know, I do it quite a while before it actually debuts. And I always think of more things. And then when we're together here, we kind of bounce off each other and give each other great ideas. So.
Absolutely. So let me give them a quick preview of what this looks like. This is super cute, Joanne.
Just a, you know, kind of I hate to use the word simple because in sewing is anything really simple. You know, once you get everything cut out and you sit down to sew, or you're like, okay, you know, this isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, but it all turns out good in the end. So this is just a little pouch. You'll see it in my hand in a minute, so you can judge a little bit the size, but it's something that is really kind of geared with this blog for Father's Day. I don't know about you, but I've struggled my entire life making things for, you know, the guys, you know, boys and things like that, because it's just, it's hard to come up with things that are, you know, maybe going to appeal to that more masculine side. But I thought that clock was just super sharp. And kind of my idea with the pouch was, you know, maybe Dad has a watch that is, you know, kind of a precious item these days. Those watches can be pretty precious. And wouldn't this be just a great little way to store it? This is self-lined, so I happen to use a micro fleece. I'll talk more about that in just a minute. But that means that the inside and the outside are all in that same. Did I say fleece? I meant to say suede. Faux suede, a micro faux suede. And when you use that, then it's nice and soft on the inside too, so it's not gonna harm anything. It's really easy to open and it's really easy to close. And if you're not giving Dad a watch for Father's Day, you can always just include a chocolate bar, right? Why not? It's the perfect fit. And yes, there are full printed instructions for this on the Brother blog. Angela will talk a little bit about that in a minute, but everything is there for you with step-by-step instructions, all the measurements, all the sizes. But the idea behind this is that you can use it for more than what it is intended for in the original project. So think about every time you want to give somebody a gift. You know, you've got to probably package it somehow, right? Well, small gifts, I think, are kind of the most challenging things to wrap. So why not make this wonderful drawstring bag and use it as the actual wrapping and package. And we can do this just in regular cotton fabric. We can do it in satin. You can do it in anything you want. And today, the one I'm going to walk you through is actually going to be just a simple cotton one, but I'll tell you a little bit more about the design too. So yeah, it's just really, really fun. And it's kind of thing you can decorate with all kinds of things. And I'll give you some ideas on that as well. But I think it's a fun project. And I think it's something that we can all use for, storing jewelry or, like I said, gadgets that get easily lost. I don't know about you, but I think this would be perfect for storing my my USB, these get
I'm thinking, but you were talking about maybe something for the guys. I was like, I should make a win this. But then when I try to think of all the things he should organize, especially because fishing season's back on, Joanne, I might need to make about 20 of these in different sizes and put it in like, here's your gift pack.
But think about that. You could make labels for each one. You could embroider a label for each one. I mean, I know that's getting maybe, like we have nothing better to do, right? But in a perfect world, we'd be making all these things. So I'd love to see if anybody has any more ideas for what they would do with this too. But all right, so should we get started talking about the materials and all that? Let's
take it away.
Okay. All right. So first of all, like I said, that is a faux suede. So what is faux suede? Well, it's always hard on here to give you specifics. You got to go shopping. You got to see what's available in your area. But I make embroidered wraps out of faux suede. That's one, and scarves. It's one of my favorite fabrics to do that type of thing because it's so luxurious, but it's completely washable, really easy to care for. But what you would want to look for if you do choose to do the suede version is what I would call dress weight suede. So I'm just going to drape this over my hand so that you can see. What do I mean by dress weight? It might also be called micro suede, but see how that drapes? So that would be something, that's why I like it for scarves and wraps. This would be something that you could make a dress out of and it would hang nicely. You could make a blouse out of it, anything like that. But if you were going to do something a little more structured, like a jacket, you would either need to find a little bit beefier faux suede, or you would have to, interface this to give it a little bit more body. But that's what I call dress weight faux suede. And I can find it in fair amount of different colors. It might be the kind of thing you're going to find a little bit more in the fall season, but buy it up when you see it. So I had just a little scrap of this tan one and just thought it was going to be perfect to use with the design. So what else do we need? Well, we need threads. So let me show you the threads and give you a little bit of an idea. Again, if you look close at this, you can see the design is the clock itself is the free design, and it's stitched on a piece of vinyl, of like marine vinyl. So that's another thing that, you can maybe find little scraps of that type of thing. If you don't have vinyl, just find some other fabric that doesn't fray. You could certainly use felt as a substitute. That would work. But this just gives that extra luxurious look, doesn't it? Does everybody agree with that? Combined with the suede, it looks like leather. And again, it just has that, extra class. But let's talk about threads. In the instructions for all of the free design of the month, I almost always change my colors. And part of that is because the colors that come up on the Embroidery website are not always in your specific Brother palette. And I'm using Brother threads for all of my free design of the month projects. So the first thing I usually do is experiment with color and change whatever, I like the way it looks. So let's talk about gold. I did use gold metallic on just that top little scroll, but I realized not everybody has, that on hand. Sometimes, it's a little tricky to find what you need. So I want to give you my recommendations for what I like to substitute for gold metallic when I need gold in a design. So just some extra little tips for you. So 3 Brother colors that I love to use as gold thread is one you would never, ever think. It's called khaki. So when I think of khaki, I think of like that drab, dull, well, not, I mean, it's an okay color, but it's like that tan kind of color, just very kind of ordinary. This to me is a very rich golden look. So khaki thread. I like to go by the name instead of the number because it's easier to read. So just look for the khaki on the label. That's a good one. Another one that I love to use, and I actually used on my sample. Oop, let me switch to here. This is the one I used on my sample, I think. No, this is the one. Sometimes I get mixed up. The other one I love is very appropriately called deep gold. So that's another really pretty gold color. It has a little bit more of a yellowish gold, whereas the khaki is a little bit more antique-y looking. And then my third and very often used one is called brass. So again, when I think of brass, I think of, that's pretty close color, but brass and gold are, kind of in that same color family. So this works really, really good. So if you don't have the metallic or you don't want to use the metallic, you can use that. So let's talk about how I actually did the design. I will show you just real quick how I created it on the machine, and then we'll sew the little pouch together. But you want to start out with just a 3.5-inch square, and you're going to need to put it on stabilizer, obviously, to be stitched, because we're not going to hoop a great big piece of vinyl that we're going to, cut only a small part out. So you want to economize on that. So you're going to use some type of way of holding that piece in your hoop. And one of the things you can do is use the tearaway adhesive backed stabilizer. So this is sticky. I know Emily and her fabulous project she did on Tuesday, she used this, and I use it a lot because I have a lot of it too. So I want to give you a few tips on this though. First of all, I always like to score the paper with a pin. And I don't know about anybody here, but I keep bad pins and bad needles, ones that have been, ready for discarded, in a pill bottle. And that's not a new trick. People have been doing this for a long time. And so I just keep this until it's full. And when I want to score paper like this, in order to protect any of my quality instruments, I just go ahead and pick a pin and just do an X across it and peel it away. And then you've got your sticky surface. Now, I also prefer, and sometimes I think it depends on the stabilizer, how long you've had it, how it's been stored, but I also prefer to use a non-stick needle. So I've got a non-stick needle stuck to my hoop here today, just so to remember to show you. But non-stick needles, the ones that I use they're blue, so I always know what they are, and they're made for the gluey stuff, whether you're sewing vinyl, whether you're sewing plastic, whether you're embroidering through sticky stabilizer. It just helps keep that from sticking. However, sometimes it will still, I don't think I have I do have a little piece here. Let me grab this. Sometimes it will still build up a little teeny bit of residue. So I always keep these little alcohol swabs handy, and I just swipe the needle when I can see that it gets a little bit of glue on it, and then keep going and just do that whenever you need to. So that, don't let that, stop you from using the sticky. However, there are other options. You could use the wash away adhesive. That I love that too. Or you could just hoop a piece of regular cutaway and then take your vinyl piece, spray it lightly. That's the key word, lightly, on the wrong side with a temporary adhesive spray. You could even, if you're in a pinch, use a glue stick and put some glue on there, and then attach it to your cutaway stabilizer and let it dry before you stitch, and that will keep it in place too. So multiple ways to do it, right, Angela? There's like always more than one way to do something like this.
Oh,
So
yes. And I have to say, Joanne, lately it's kind of been a trend, not a brother product, but glue sticks seem to be coming out of everywhere for every project in the sewing room.
yeah, I love using glue sticks because most of them you find are washable. So you're able to just, if you need to wash it out, you can wash it out, and it's absolutely no problem. Have we had any questions come in so far?
Nope, I've answered them in the back. Someone was just asking what thread you're using, and I said, hey, Brother Thread, Brother
Thread.
Embroidery.
It's got the pace setter label on it. That is the, or it might have simplicity on it. It depends on when you bought your thread. It's the same thing. It's a super high quality polyester thread, and I absolutely love this thread. So see, we got lots of comments coming in. So all right, so the design itself is pretty easy. Again, when we switch over to the machine in just a minute, I will show you how I created it. I just simply used a frame shape from built in the machine and built into, here's the key word here, every Brother embroidery machine, you have frame shapes. So everybody can do this. And this is a design that fits in a 4x4 hoop. So my smallest hoop available for my machine. And I'm going to be using one of my absolute all-time favorite machines here today. I'm going to be using the Brother NS 1750D, which is my go-to machine when I want to go somewhere. No pun intended, but I pull this out, or if I want to, maybe I'm embroidering on my, I'm spoiled. Yes, I have a luminaire. I'm spoiled, but maybe I'm embroidering on that machine and I want to do something else. So I'm able to either sew or embroider on my 1750D, and it does a phenomenal job. So I would not want to be without that machine. It's like, to me, having two brothers in the family is like the perfect pair, and they get along very well, and they serve me both very, very well. All right, so let's talk about the whole idea of the pattern. And I thought I'd give you a little sneak peek into the craziness that I go through when I make these things. So yes, it's a simple drawstring bag. At face value, it looks like, okay, I can make a drawstring bag. You make a rectangle and you sew some sort of a casing and you put the ribbon through and you pull it, right? Well, yeah, you can do it that way. And I've done it that way. I've made lots of drawstring bags. They're so versatile in so many sizes, but I wanted to make this one really streamlined, and I wanted it to be lined, and I wanted it to be something that you could do kind of in a, just like I said, a streamlined kind of a quick manner. So I just started playing around with a strip of one of my all-time favorite things that I like to use for patterns is pattern tracing cloth, and I like the one with the 1-inch grid on it, and I use this whenever I want to make a pattern that I want to easily measure something. So I will tell you that the 1-inch grid is maybe not a scientific 1-inch. So if you're doing something that needs to be a really precise size, you may want to measure that out, but this just works good. So I started out like folding and don't ask me how, but I came up with this crazy idea for cutting this on one long strip and then doing the buttonholes and then sewing the rest of it together like lickety split. So when you turn it, you only have to do one little part of stitching, and it just works really, really well. So I want to show you the steps for that. And that's just my way of practicing. So I just, you find this at the big box store, very readily available. It's the only thing that I've ever seen out there with the grid on it. Okay. All right, so I think we are ready to go to the machine here. One more quick thing. I'll just tell you that the suede piece that I have measured and cut in the instructions is just a teeny bit smaller than the piece that I cut today. And that's just because that's all I had. So anywhere from like a 5 to a 6-inch width of a piece will work for you. And then if you use the full 32 inches, you wouldn't think you would need that. But if you use that full 32 inches, you're going to end up with this self-lined piece here. All right. Okay. I think we're ready to switch over. Angela, if you give me a minute, I'll switch to my other camera there. And you can check up on questions.
I'm checking, and also someone said, let me see that embroidery again. So here is the picture of the embroidery. I put a link to the blog post. Julie, you want a link to the Brother thread? All right, let me find it for you. No problem there. And while she's switching cameras, sorry about that, Joanne. Ask your questions away. Somebody's saying, what are you doing? I'm draping my top from yesterday. So I'm listening and draping. I'm multitasking. I'm dying to get this top finished because I want to wear it this weekend. I know. Somebody asked about metallic thread. Does Brother have metallic thread? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I'll see if I can find you a link for that too. They actually have quite a few colors. And oh gosh, Joanne is an expert at embroidering with metallic thread too. So maybe if there's time at the end, you can ask away. Joanne, I see you. You ready to go?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, take it away.
Ready. Okay. Over here in position. Okay, so just really quick, I'm just going to show you how I actually made the design so that you can see me use these frame shapes. So I started out, I just loaded the design to my USB. This machine has the 1750D has a USB port. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And I'm going to find my design. I'm going to go ahead and touch set. And then I'm going to touch add. And one of the things I love about this machine is that it has edit capability, very, very similar to what we have in our high-end, top-end machine. So I like to say this machine has top-of-the-line features at an affordable price. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go into my frame shapes. I'm going to select a circle. And that first circle just stitches one time around. I want to do a triple stitch. So I'm going to go down to that circle there and I'm going to touch set. And now I want to resize it because I want it to be about 3 inches. That's about the perfect size. So go ahead and increase that. And just think about while I'm doing this, you could very easily do this with, like I said, felt, and you could embroider a message. You could use small designs and create whatever you want. So it's as simple as that. I touch OK. I go to end edit. I go to embroidery and it gives me all of my colors. If I wanted to, I could go back and I could actually change those colors or just change them out at the machine. So I am currently set up for sewing, but I'm able to show you everything in the embroidery screen while I'm actually in the sewing mode. Now, obviously, if I wanted to embroider, I've got to turn the machine off. I've got to then attach the embroidery unit, and then I can actually stitch this out. But this is another thing that I call a high-end feature. I remember the days when we couldn't show anything on an embroidery screen unless the embroidery unit was attached. So that makes it really, really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to sewing. And I am just going to go ahead and select a buttonhole to start with. And I love, let me see, where is my favorite buttonhole here? I love this one here with the rounded end. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to slide my camera over into position and holler if you can't see that. I think you can see it pretty good. And I'm going to do a quick buttonhole on my fabric. Now the instructions tell you exactly where to measure for this. I think Angela's got maybe got the picture up, or no, she doesn't have the picture up. That's okay. You can see that in the instructions. I've gone ahead and just drawn a line 2 inches from one of the short edges. So remember, this is a 32-inch long piece. And then I've taken just a small button and I put it in the back of my buttonhole foot. Go ahead and snap that on. And then I like to send my needle down and get that thread underneath. So I'm just going to raise the presser foot a little bit there. You always have that little extra lift. I love that feature so that you can get under there. And I'm just going to sweep that to the back. I got to do one more thing because if I don't, my machine's going to holler at me and remind me. I got to pull that buttonhole lever down. And you may be wondering, why did I make the alignment point for this 1/4 inch from the edge? Well, that's because if I use the edge of my buttonhole foot, it's going to be just perfect. So I want to line that up so that where those red dash lines are, they're a little bit hard to see on camera, but every foot has those. Where those are, they're going to line up with the marking line that you have marked for your starting point. And if you want to double check yourself, you can always lower your needle because sometimes Depending on what cheater glasses you have on, you may be just a little bit off there. I think I'm good. And you want to make sure your foot is parallel with the edge. And you want to put tearaway stabilizer underneath. All right, from there on, it is just go time. And it will sew backwards first, and then forward, and then backward again, so that each side of that buttonhole is formed from front to back. That's how it works on the standard buttonhole. And that's so that every side is even and matches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my thread. I'm going to move that over, slide that. And I was just a little bit forward of that spot. So let me try to match that. I think we'll match that pretty good. So I don't know about everybody here, but this is one of my all-time favorite features on all of my Brother machines is the perfect buttonholes that it makes every time. And no, I never stitch my buttonholes twice. If anybody's asking, I use just, regular thread most of the time, but I do have another blog post on the Brother blog where I tell you a little bit more about stitching buttonholes and different threads. So there we go. We've got our 2 buttonholes all done. I'm going to tear this away. And of course, I would want to cut these open. So I'm going to go snap that foot off and get my regular foot back on.
While you're doing that, Joanne, I'm just going to bring up a photo of your finished ones on the suede. It looks great. These buttonholes do.
Yeah, I can't find my seam ripper. Of course, I got about 6 of them, but
they're never there when you need them.
I just had it. I buried it somewhere. Okay, we won't worry about that for right now. All right, so the next step, what we're going to need to do is we would then put our patch on if we were adding that patch. And I give you the instructions for how far down to position that so that it comes out perfectly lined up on that bag. So just keep that kind of a 3-inch idea in mind when you're doing it, so that you have a nice position for that. I'm just going to go ahead now and select a straight stitch. Okay. And the next step is going to be to sew this top seam. So right sides together, I'm going to sew that short seam. And I'm going to use a 1/2-inch seam allowance. And again, this doesn't have to be a scientific measurement. So I've found that when I have my needle in my far left position all the way over to the left, which would mean the width key is going to say 0. And I use, I got to shorten my stitch length just a little bit. And I use the regular J presser foot. It's going to give me just about a 1/2 inch from the edge of the presser foot following along the raw edge of the fabric. Oh, tells me to raise that buttonhole lever. Okay, thank you for the warning. So I'm just going to sew that seam real quick. And I'm going to leave an opening. So let me just give you another little trick on openings here. I'm going to need just a few inches to get my fingers in there and turn it right side out. When I do that kind of opening, I like to stitch my seam in like an L shape. So I'm going to stitch to the point where I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to pivot. And now I'm going to sew to the end and back stitch. And then I'm going to flip to the other side here so that I can do my other seam. And I'm going to do that the same way. And you may wonder, again, there's a method to my madness here. Why in the world would we do that? For some crazy reason. I think it's because it just holds all of that excess fabric in place. I'll go just a little longer. When you turn this right side out and you have to close that opening, you will have an easier time folding that excess fabric in if that piece is already stitched in that manner. Okay, so that's done. Now, here's the next step, and this is where it starts to look a little unusual. Again, method to my madness here. I'm going to mark the center of the bottom. So I have a fold there right now. I'm going to mark that. That's going to be the center there. All right, you can mark it with a marker. You can mark it just with pins. Okay. And then we're going to be refolding this. And we're going to fold it now. You see where I'm folding so that my seam matches those center points. And I'm going to push my seam allowance to one direction there. So I'm going to match that up, seam with the center, pin that in place, seam with the center. And now I'm going to sew what I'm going to call my side seams. Same thing, 1/2 inch. So you're going to get really close to your buttonhole, but your buttonhole is going to be just to the side of that 1/2 inch seam. Always take your pins out. Got a little crooked there. I looked over at the monitor there, got a little crooked. All right. Get that other side done. Same way. So I've actually never seen a drawstring bag, a lined one done this way. And again, don't ask me how in the world I came up with it. I just remember one night trying to figure out a way, and this is what I came up with. So there's nothing new under the sun, but this might be a little variation of something. All right, we're going to cut that, raise the presser foot, and I'm going to do one more thing before I turn this right side out. I'm just going to tack this seam allowance down. I'm doing that because when I turn that and I need to make those casings for my drawstring, that's going to be just a little bit of a, kind of a floppy spot there, and I want to anchor that down. So I'm just going to stitch across that, just like that. So far, so good?
Looks great, Joanne.
All righty. It's going to make more sense in a minute here. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and turn this right side out. I think I'll just go ahead and clip my corners a little bit. That usually makes it a little bit neater. All right. What do we call this? Birthing the bag?
Yeah, that always kills me. Hey, Joanne, Bernadette must have joined us late. Could you tell her what machine you're using again?
I am using the Brother NS 1750D combination embroidery and sewing machine. One of my favorite brothers. Really easy to carry, really portable. I like to move it around. Like I said, sometimes I like to sew on my dining room table. By the way, if you have one of these styluses, they make a wonderful poker pointer tool because they're just pointy enough to get in there, but not pointy enough to damage your fabric. And I know there's all kinds of other tools available, but you can buy extra ones of these at your Brother dealer because maybe you lost the one you had, and you could buy an extra one just to use for poking out those points. All right, we have got that done. The next thing we're going to do now is we're going to tuck the lining inside the bag. So the actual outer bag is the piece that has your buttonholes there. So now we're going to tuck that in. And this is where, if I had more time, I'd be a little bit more fussy. I would go to my iron. I would press this a little bit, get that a little more, settled in there. You are going to have a little bit of extra bulk on the inside because your inside piece is the same size as your outside piece. And when you put the inside the outside, there's there's a little less room in there, so you're going to have just a little bit of extra fabric in there. That doesn't mean you did anything wrong. And then I want to just maneuver this until I have my seam at the top. So you can see that opening there, and you can see I almost without any effort, I can just pull that and crease that. And because I did those little L-shaped, stitching lines, it's going to close up perfectly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close that opening. I am using, this machine comes with a fabulous extension table that gives you a lot more room for sewing, but I don't need that flat area anymore. So I'm going to remove that and expose my free arm, because that'll just make it a little bit easier here. All right, so I'm just going to real quick, I'm going to top stitch this. Again, I would be more fussy, and if I really wanted to make this nice and neat, I could hand sew that opening closed, but I'm just going to top stitch around the whole upper edge there. And that will close the opening in the process. Good thing I don't have to win a contest for neat sewing when I'm on camera, right, Angela? Because that is really hard to do.
We call it yoga.
I know.
Yoga sewing.
I'm going to need a chiropractor and a massage after this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just use my scissors to open that buttonhole. It's one of those, don't do as I did, do as I say to do, which would be to use your proper tools to cut that open. And we're getting close to being finished here. So the next thing I want to do is just sew a casing. So I'm going to sew above my buttonhole line and below my buttonhole line. And, chances are you're not going to be able to fit this over your free arm. See, it's a little tight there. Unless you're making a larger bag. So I'm going to turn this inside out. So the wrong side is facing me, so I can get in there just a little bit easier. And you could mark these lines. Again, I'm just going to kind of wing it, and I'm going to use the line on my throat plate there just to give me a good line to follow. And I'm using dark thread today that isn't really matching my fabric. It's okay, but it's not really a good match. You'd want to use something that matches nice. Look how quick and easy these are, though. I mean, who would think you could make such a sharp looking bag in such a short period of time? All right, now I need one more line of stitching to make that casing below the buttonhole. So again, I'm just going to go and use that as a guide. Just use the edge of that throat plate. And, whenever you're sewing something small like this, you got to do a little bit more stopping and starting to maneuver it. I don't know how many of you remember the day before a free arm machine, but I sure do. And, we sewed everything from Barbie clothes to, home decor, that miles and miles and yards of fabric, but anything from big and small, all on those flatbed machines. And, now we really have the appreciation for that free arm. Okay, so again, pardon my sloppiness. If I were having a nice, neat time here, I would be able to sew that really nice and clean stitching. So I'm going to turn it back right side out. And Angela, I'm coming back over to the other camera to show you how to finish this up.
All right, sounds good. Okay. Joanne, I'm still sewing while I'm talking to you, and my
No, that's okay.
my little lady is I think I got her finished. I'm watching you sew a bag and I'm sewing a top. So this is totally multitasking. I saw on here, by the way, Clovis said she's ironing. So very fun. And
That's all
we've
right.
had a few comments. I've got it on a big screen. A ton of comments. Everyone's saying, thank you for the live shows, brother. You're so welcome. And thank you for bringing them back to Thursdays. You're welcome.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
I'm so glad to be back. But the other, I was going to say, when you said that you're sewing, somebody else is sewing, that's what this does. When you see somebody else sew, doesn't it just like, it's like if you see somebody eating ice cream, what do you want to do? You want to go eat ice cream, right? But when you see somebody else sew and you love to sew, it makes it just like you're itching to start stitching. That's the only thing I can say.
I know.
It does the
I
same
said,
thing to me.
during these live shows, I said, you know what? I wish I could have a sewing machine like right here. And I thought, why don't I put one there? That way I can sew and watch. It's
I
like
know.
having my own little party.
Okay, so to finish this up, we need some narrow ribbon. You could use anything from 1/8 to 1/4 inch. Use whatever you have, but I don't know how many of you have ever done this. I love this little technique for a drawstring bag, but we're going to make what I've always called an opposing drawstring, and that's what makes it do this wonderful opening and this wonderful closing. And while I'm thinking about it, like I said, I always think about it, a lot of things after I make something. If you're dressing this up for, this would make great bridal shower favors. It would make great little pouches for bridal party. You could do like a monogram on them and then, give them to them to store their jewelry in. And a lot of times, when you get married, you give your attendants a jewelry gift. It would be a great package for that. Baby showers, Mother's Day, any kind of gift. And if you just want to do something nice for somebody, get some pretty fabric and make a little pouch. And like I said, just put the chocolate bar in there and they'll be happy, right? Okay, so we're going to do this now with the ribbon, and I'm just going to use a pin. You could possibly use a bodkin, but normally my channel here for my drawstring would be a little bit smaller. I did a little bit bigger today, but normally it'd be a little bit smaller. And, that I like the pin for that. So I'm going to just start in one hole and I'm going to go all the way around. If you have another tool that you like to use that'll fit in there, go for it. And you may find yourself needing to maneuver a little bit where that seam is, but that's why I recommended sewing it down. If that seam is open, you tend to catch your turning tool or your drawstring tool in there, and then it gets stuck and you got to really finagle it. But we're just going to go all the way around and we're going to exit the same hole that we entered. Easy peasy. I don't know. Is that word in dictionary? I've always been meaning to look it up because I try to use proper dictionary words. All right. So I got to get back out that same hole.
I see a couple people asking, including Linda, can we watch this later? Yes, you can. Actually, if you save this, let's see, you're on Facebook. So on Facebook, if you save this to your page, then you can go back and watch it. That's the easiest way. If you're on YouTube, just come back to Brother's YouTube channel and click under, I think it's the third heading, click under live. It's a whole section of videos. You could actually binge watch for like a year if you want to.
You can watch as many times as you want to. All right. I have trouble getting this in. It's always easier when you're not trying to do it in front of anybody, right? There we go. There's my pin. I'm going to pull that out. And I actually have you making these maybe a little longer than you need, but you can trim that off at the end if you want to. So again, I've gone in one hole all the way around and back out that same hole. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my second piece of ribbon, only I'm going to start in the opposite hole. Go all the way around. It's funny because this just doesn't take very much fabric. So, start looking around, how many strips do you have left over from something? And you could make this a little bit bigger. You could make it a little wider. Like I said, mine is just a little wider than the suede one, but about I would say, 5 to 6 inches wide, and that includes your seam allowance. Gives you just that, I don't know, that nice little drawstring bag for little things, little special things.
Actually, while you were doing this, Joanne, I have a couple strips of fabric over here. The girls were making piano bags the other day for their piano books. And so there's strips of fabric that are perfect for this. So I think next week I'll just have them watch your video.
Oh, wow.
And do the free design of the month. It's going to be perfect.
That would be fun. It would be a lot of fun. There was I won't say the name because it's not a brother product, but there was a very well-known jewelry company that I used to visit when I was in the airport at times. And they gave you little bags like this with certain items. I don't know if you spent like a certain amount or whatever. And they were made very similar to this. I never really took one apart to see if it was done this way, but it kind of reminds me of that. And for a long time, I had a small cell phone, and I used to use one of those drawstring bags as my cell phone protector pouch inside my purse. So depending on the size of your phone, you might even be able to use it for that.
There are a ton of ideas. I was just thinking, I like that jewelry idea.
Makeup,
a lot of times when you travel, I've got a bigger zip up one, but sometimes I just want to throw a few bracelets and a couple of, rings or something if I'm going to be going, I don't know. That's a good idea, Joanne.
Exactly. All right. So once those strings are out, you can just do that, and you have gathered it all up nice and pretty. You would then want to take those ends and just give them, a little tie off at the end to neaten it up, and then make that. I don't know.
Oh, Joanne, while you're working so hard, I'm reading the comments and I'm cracking up. Barbara Jones, she says, I'm sad to say, but
so she knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, she's dropped some change there, right?
Dawn said she's got for and Darlene, it's not a brother product. I bring your comment up. It's hilarious. You guys are great.
So then you always want to cut your ribbon at an angle just to give it a nice neat finish. And there you go. We made a little cotton version in absolutely no time at all, right?
So cute, Joanne.
So I do love this one. My husband saw it, and as is typical, he sees my projects, and most of the time they're like, not something he cares about, right? But he saw this one, he goes, who's that for? I said,
you're like,
would be for you when it's done.
But my God.
Even think about like you could store keys in here and then hang this. If you have a hook that you hang the keys on, it's just, I don't know if maybe nobody else is like me, but I just, my mom used to tease me when I was a teenager and I'd get ready and I'd go somewhere. I almost always pulled back in the driveway because I forgot something, or, and she'd say, here, what is that? If your head wasn't screwed on, it would fall off. She'd always give me one of those lines. But, when you have some type of a home for something and you put it back in there every time, then you always know where it is. So things like this just help you with that kind of organization.
So cute. So I'm gonna bring this up one more time so you can all see. This is the free design of the month. You can see that Joanne did. That's what the embroidery looks like. Super cute. And if you go to the full blog post, here's the bag she made. There's instructions. We'll put that back up. Joanne, great job. Great job. Well, we love free design of the month, and you've been doing it the whole time. You just haven't been on the live to remind everyone. So This is fantastic.
So remember, free design of the month is only a free design of the month for the month that it's a free design. So it almost always.
We should probably say, so we are in May of 2023. So if you're binge watching the Brother Live shows in 2024 of May, this is not the free design of the month. So it's May of 2023.
That is correct. So you'll find the free design on the wonderful brotherebroidery.com website, which is an exclusive website for Brother Embroidery designs that you can download and purchase. But every month they post the free design on there for free. And then, of course, the Brother blog that you've been showing on screen, that has a link to the free design along with all of the instructions. But you must download it during the month that it's available for free. So just get in the habit of checking it. It's usually very close to the first of the month when that design is posted. And then it may take a day or two before the actual instructions come out on the Brother blog. But you can always find it there. And then you can, oh, great, Vicki, I'm glad you downloaded it. You can always go back to the previous instructions for these projects, stay up on the Brother blog. And, if the design isn't free anymore, substitute with something else you already have. Or if you really love that design, it's available for purchase. So It goes back up on the website. It's just that it's free for that month of time.
And I saw somebody asking, is this on Artspira? No, this is different. This is from embroidery.com. Brother has a lot of places to get some of these great designs, but Artspira has a ton of free designs as well. So this project, Joanne, would be perfect for some of the free designs that are in the Artspira app. So make sure on your phone you download the Artspira app. There's a new private group on Facebook for Artspira as well to share your projects and learn. And your bag would tie in perfectly with some of the new things I saw on there yesterday.
You're absolutely right, because there are some nice smaller designs on there.
That's what I'm thinking.
So, yep.
Well,
and remember, this just downloads directly to your downloads folder in your computer. So there's no, you don't need to unzip it. You don't need to do anything. And then you just simply transfer to your USB. You could do that with a copy and paste or a drag and drop. So it's super easy to get this over to your machine.
So one more thing, though, is embroidery is different than Artspira, where embroidery you can download it and use it on multiple computer or your sewing machines. You can
Correct.
download it to a USB. Artspira you cannot. It's wireless transfer. So for all of you that on Tuesday were like, darn it, I have a great Brother machine, but I don't have Wi-Fi. Well, these free designs of the month will be perfect for you right now. So perfect.
That's the beauty of Brother. There's something for everybody and for every level that you're at. And there's always room to grow, right? There's always room to grow in the Brother family. And if you don't have that capability now, doesn't mean you won't have it in the future. You want me to give you just a little tease of what's coming next month?
Oh, sure. Why not?
Okay. Next month, I'm swinging the pendulum totally to the opposite side, and you're going to get a great big design available for download. So remember, we try to fill the family there with all different kind of flavors, so you get whatever flavor you want. But next month, the flavor will be a big design instead of this small design. And it will be in the appropriate colors for upcoming summer holidays. It will be something you might want to stitch in red, white, and blue.
Oh, that's a pretty good hint. So what size hoop do we need for the next one? What's the minimum?
The next one will be a 6x10 or larger.
Oh, and it's a free design of the month?
Absolutely. And it is a super, super nice design. You're going to love it. So if you've been thinking about upgrading your machine to a 6x10, you might want to think before next month so you're ready to go.
That's a really cool free design. That's huge. And by the way, if you don't have that, we'll still be able to use Artspira, and Joanne will have a fantastic project for you. So, but that's pretty exciting. That's a great little teaser.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun one. I think you're going to love it.
All right. Well, it's great to see you all. You can still leave your comments and questions after the live show. Brother Social Team checks those out. And you can catch Joanne and I on our live shows as well. I'm going to just put our websites up if you're looking for all of us. And also, if you look above, #BrotherSews, #BrotherScanAndCut. First of all, we all love seeing what you're working on. And two, if you share it, sometimes Brother will share that and share what you're doing. That's the whole fun part, right?
Absolutely. And if I missed your question, you know where to get a hold of me. Please reach out. I'm always happy to help. I can't keep track of everything while we're doing it here live today. So I don't want to leave anybody.
May Flom. I was like, I don't think May Flom May's on next Tuesday. That's for next Tuesday. So now that we're back on Tuesdays and Thursdays, this is going to be super fun. So Tuesday will be on the crafting page, just so you know. So be sure, if you have not followed Brother Crafts, follow that, because May's show is all about crafts, which will be on that YouTube channel. I have some people say, I can't find it today. Well, it's because it's on the other channel. So be sure, if you're on YouTube right now, subscribe. If you're on Facebook, be sure to like and follow Brother and Joanne. Great to see you. What a fantastic project.
Well, thank you. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making it. And I had a lot of fun showing everybody here today how to make it too. So
awesome. All right, everyone, have a great weekend. And Brother, thank you for letting your ambassadors take over your page. And for all of you watching, be sure to like and share if you like this, because we'll keep bringing more shows to you. All right. Bye, everyone.